listening to the future of talk. American Freedom Radio. This is American Freedom Radio.
For joining us today, folks, all our great affiliates around the nation, all our great listeners around the world. Deadline Live, I'm Jack Blood. This is American Freedom Radio, AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Really psyched to have David Bond, with us on the broadcast today. His film is Erasing David. It is debuting here at the South by Southwest Film Festival, which is just everywhere. Here, it's about music and film, folks, and lots of traffic and very expensive drinks. But we welcome David Bond to our city. Before I bring David up, I want to play, there's a 2-minute trailer. You've really got to see this to fully understand the beauty of this film, but I think you'll get a grasp on it if I just play a little bit of it. Hopefully my computer will comply. It is called Erasing David, airing all over the place, and right here in Austin, Texas tomorrow. We'll give you the details of that here during the program. And we're waiting for it to load now. We've been covering this on our website now for a couple of months. And initially when I saw it, I thought it might be about weight loss. No! What is it about? It is about escaping the surveillance society.
The UK is now one of the top 3 surveillance states in the world, third only to China and Russia. But they say, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. What could other people do with my data? To find out, I'm going to leave my life behind and disappear.
And I wish that would play a little bit better, but it's not going to, folks. We have had massive Trojan horses, right here in our computer, so we'll just have to bring up David. He'll tell us all about the film, and you'll hopefully go see it tomorrow at 11 o'clock if you're in Austin, Texas. David Bond, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be on your show, Jack. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. My computer has been under massive attack, so I'm sorry for that faulty intro. But the trailer is on YouTube, on the Internet, and it's on our website at deadlinelive.info. Very captivating stuff, David, and it can't be a more timely documentary. Is it a documentary, or is it more of a thriller?
Well, we like to think it's both. Everything that happened is true, so it's a documentary. But because I went on the run and I was hunted down by these 2 top private investigators, it's got a real feeling of a thriller or a chase movie. And I think the way we cut it shows that we were really inspired by some fiction movies as well.
Well, you got to make this stuff so people will watch it. A lot of people don't even like documentaries because they like fantasy, so you've kind of got it all in here. But it's all real, as you say. David, go back and tell us how this all started, how you began to notice the surveillance society, which, as you mentioned, is third only to Russia and China in the United Kingdom. We've been covering this for years. It's happening to us here in the United States of America. We've noticed it. But how is it that you decided to take this on, and tell people exactly what you set up and what you did and what we see in the film?
No problem. Well, let me take you back a couple of years. I had my first child, I had a daughter, and within 4 months of her being born, I was sent a letter by the UK government telling me that they had lost her data. Now, that involved her name, her date of birth, my name, my bank account details, and the government had just stuck that on a CD and lost it. And I was very, very distressed to hear that about my, very young family. And that set me thinking, what else is out there about me? And that was really the kind of germ of the idea. And then, as you say, people maybe don't want to come and watch a standard vanilla documentary where you just see lots of talking heads talking about the issues. So we wanted to sort of bring it to a wider audience And for that reason, I decided that I would go on the run, and we would hire these 2 top private investigators who would come track me down using my data wake, i.e. all of that data that we all leave out there on the web, and not only on the web, but, in lots of other places. And that's what they used to track me down.
So for 30 days, the challenge is you hired these 2 very well-connected and highly resourced private detectives from Cerberus, which is a very well-known private investigative company, corporate investigative company, I believe, in the UK. And you said, look, here's my challenge to you. I'm going to try to disappear for 30 days, and I want you to use my data wake, as you call it, to find me. That was basically the pretext here.
That's exactly it. And you know what? They jumped at the chance. They were extremely confident. In fact, they began by saying they'd catch me in 4 days. Now, they didn't catch me in 4 days. I won't say how long it took, because people might enjoy figuring that out in the film. But they were very, very confident that they were going to track me down very, very quickly. And it was a great challenge. It really was, because I felt like I wanted to survive, Jack. I wanted to feel like I live in a country where, if I so choose, I could take 30 days out of my life and exist in a way that was not revealable to us people. But I'm afraid that may not be the case.
Well, you first tried to go do like most of us, and they're not going to find me if I don't leave a paper trail or something, and I'm going to go kind of hide over at my uncle's house, or you're taking it. You're a little cavalier about it at first, and then they start getting on your heels, and you have to go further and further and further out until pretty soon, David, you're in the middle of nowhere.
That's right, Jack. I mean, it didn't take long for me to realize that if I carried on acting in a way that was in any way predictable to them, and of course that predictability comes from them being able to identify my past behavior from the internet and from other databases. And I realized that if I needed to be unpredictable, and the best way I could think of doing that was kind of doing what they'd least expect. But to be honest, that got me into a bit of a weird mental cycle where I thought, wow, what do they least expect? Well, it's probably what I'd least expect. Oh, no, I've just thought of that. So you end up in a kind of weird mental loop. But as you say, I ended up sleeping rough. I ended up heading right out into the wilds of Wales in order to try and avoid them.
It's just like a chess match. Now, with all of this, does it make you wonder why we couldn't catch Osama bin Laden or anyone else for that matter?
Well, it's a really good question. I'm afraid that the answer to that, I think, is that in a lot of the people who are actually causing the problems are not on the grid in the way that the vast majority of the citizens are. So what happens is that all of us guys, the kind of goodies, we end up splurging our data here and there, getting it taken off us by the government, by corporations. We end up being highly trackable and highly visible in ways that I find pretty sinister, whereas people who are actually determined and are prepared to live a life where they really bury their head under the sand and really hide out of the way, they're the guys who can get away with it. And that just seems to me to be the wrong way around.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the film The Running Man? Did you feel, I don't know if you saw that with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Das Gruppenführer, the Gruppenführer, the governor of California.
Yeah, no, I did see it. I love that film.
And did you feel like that? I mean, every time, you see somebody with a camera phone, or every time, you come up, because in the UK, you should explain this for my listeners, they've got these giant towers with hundreds of video cameras, not just video cameras now, but they actually talk to you and tell you if your behavior is bad. I mean, you must have felt like, David, there was just nowhere to hide, and every time you went somewhere, you saw an antenna, you saw something, and you thought, oh, God, they've got me.
I have to admit, I found it very, very freaky how many cameras were out there. Now, as it turned out, they didn't choose to access the camera databases, but despite that, we have 5 million CCTV cameras in the UK.